Good morning, everyone. Is my audio and video clear? Is it clear now, Aditi? Okay. Good morning, Bhakti, Aditi. Okay. All right then. A very good morning to everyone watching this video. I am Manoj Sharma from Olive Board, and I'm here with the live mint analysis that I take up every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Am I taking a class on Saturdays? Because I missed taking a class on Wednesday. I could not take it. So that is why I wanted to clear that backlog. I did not want to miss any article from the newspaper. That is why I just made the PPT and I'm going to take it today. Fine. Good morning, Chetan. So I just did not want to miss anything because we have a certain flow with our articles, with our newspaper analysis, and I wanted to continue that. That is why I'm taking the class today. Let's begin with the session. And if you want to download this YouTube class PDF, you can do it from the Olive Board app. Go to the courses section. There's a separate folder of YouTube class PDFs. You can download the PDF from here. Okay? Chalo. Now, the first important article over here, news article over here is steady nominal GDP growth to raise India weight in MSCI EM index. What is this? First question that I have for you is what is MSCI EM index? This is an index. Okay? What is this index related? What is this index related to? Anyone? Does anyone want to answer this question? What is this MSCI EM index used for? Any idea? Here we have the article that steady nominal GDP growth to raise India's weight in MSCI EM index. EM is Emerging Market Index. EM for Emerging Market Index. Okay, so see, basically we have this MSCI Emerging Markets Index, which is a benchmark. So this is a benchmark index. Okay, this is a benchmark index which basically tracks the performance of emerging markets, equity markets. ठीक है, तो जो emerging markets है, emerging markets like India, है ना, India is an emerging market, right? Emerging market in the sense which has a huge potential to grow. That is what is called an emerging market. So it measures the performance of emerging markets, and emerging markets में what? Equity markets. Okay, this is what is this MSCI, MSCI market index. I hope this is clear. Read about this MSCI EM emerging markets index. Read about this. This is your homework, but this is related to emerging markets, the performance of stocks of the emerging markets basically. So there's an index, a benchmark index, which tracks the performance of the equity markets in the emerging economies. ठीक है? I hope this is clear. तो यहाँ पे this article is saying that we need a steady nominal GDP growth. जो nominal GDP growth है, we want it to be steady. Only then जो इंडिया का weight है in this MSCI EM index, इंडिया का जो performance है, तभी वो better होगा. और इंडिया का weight, weights are assigned to the emerging economies. जो जितना ज्यादा better perform करते हैं, उनको उतना ज्यादा higher weight मिलता है to be calculated in the index. ठीक है, that is what is your MSCI EM index. ठीक है, अब यहाँ पे one thing that you need to understand is the difference between real GDP and nominal GDP. अच्छा, tell me, when I say that the GDP of India will grow at 6.5% in financial year 2025-26, am I talking about real GDP over here, or am I talking about nominal GDP over here? So who's going to tell this? That if I say that India's real GDP will grow at 6.5% in the financial year 25-26, is it real GDP or nominal GDP? Exactly. This is a real GDP. What is nominal GDP then? What is nominal GDP? What is the difference between real GDP and nominal GDP? One basic difference. One basic difference between real GDP and nominal GDP. The same difference is between real exchange rate and nominal exchange rate also. And in your ESI classes, I have explained this in very much detail, and this is something basic that we know, that we should know. Good morning, Sheikh. Nominal 9.4 तरफ थी शायद. Nominal is around 10%. Nominal GDP is around 10.1, 10.2. It's around this. ठीक है? Around 10 percentage. ठीक है? Nominal includes inflation. Real is inflation adjusted, sorry. Real and nil. हाँ जी. तो basically when we talk about real GDP, तब हम nominal GDP is basically जो हम current prices पे, we calculate it at current prices. That means we are not seeing whether inflation, what is the inflation rate. We are not seeing what is the inflation rate. When I subtract inflation rate, the rise in the price level from nominal GDP, I get real GDP. This is the major difference between real and nominal. Fine? ठीक है? Fine. So let's read this article. Now, here what we are saying is that we need a steady double-digit nominal GDP growth so that India का जो weight है the MSCI Emerging Markets Index, it will increase only if we have a steady nominal GDP growth. And if our weight increases in this MSCI Emerging Markets Index, then this will help us attract more fund flows. Foreign institutional investments will increase if our performance in this MSCI Emerging Markets Index will increase. Then we are going to have more and more of funds. Our performance will automatically be better. Okay? India is the second largest. Right now, India is the second largest weight in MSCI EM Index, and it is poised to even grow further. Now I have a homework for you. You are going to check which country has the first largest weight. Okay? If you know it, write it down in the comment section. If you do not know, then check this and then tell me. Okay? Which country has the first largest, or you can say the largest weight in the MSCI Emerging Markets Index. Okay? What are the GDP growth drivers in India? Domestic consumption, services sector expansion, and a rising middle class. Okay, these are the reasons. Okay, foreign institutional investors returned in April due to improved valuations and strong macroeconomic indicators. We have PLI scheme, Make in India scheme. The demographics position in India is better than the other countries. And if we talk about the difference between India and China, India is seen more stable than China, less export dependent, more reform driven than China. Okay, India is on the right side of global dynamics amid the US-China tension as well, and technology and domestic equities with less correlation to global markets are going to benefit the most. Okay? And investors are advised to reduce exposure post strong rally. So basically what we are trying to say is that if India wants to increase its weight in the MSCI EM index, then India ka nominal GDP should grow at a steady pace. So according to BNP Paribas, this is the article given by BNP Paribas, what key factor could help India increase its weight in the MSCI Emerging Markets Index? Expansion of exports to the US, continued double-digit nominal GDP growth, reduction in services sector jobs, high volatility in commodity prices. What is the answer? Chetan is saying China, Devendra is saying China. Yes. So the highest weight is of China in the MSCI Emerging Markets Index, and second पे we have India. ठीक है? Right. Exactly. So continued double digit nominal GDP growth is the correct answer. Ajay, now I wanted to ask you, let's see whether you have read the newspaper. We are going to have 3 to 4 questions where we are going to test you, where I'm going to test you whether you have read the newspaper or not. Three to four questions, okay? So first question that I have is, what is the new cost recovery rate set by the government of India for onion procurement in 2025? Anyone who wants to give this answer, 65%, 72%, 68% or 75%. This was a big headline in the newspaper. That new cost recovery rate set by the government of India for onion procurement. Anyone? Let me see whether you have read the newspaper or not. Chetan is saying 72%, Bhakti is saying 75 or 72%. The answer is 72%. ठीक है, so this was the article. Government fixes 72% cost recovery rate for onion procurement to stabilize prices. So it is 72%. Chetan, Bhakti, Atithi, all of you are absolutely correct. So यहाँ पे you can see the headline, 72% cost recovery rate for onion procurement. अच्छा, यहाँ पे you need to understand the meaning of cost recovery rate. What is the meaning of cost recovery rate? Anyone? यहाँ पे हम what we are saying is cost recovery rate after onion procurement. Anyone who wants to give me the meaning of this, or what you understand by the meaning of this cost recovery rate? Any idea? Anyone? Any idea? See, first of all, onion is procured. Onion is procured means that हमने onion को collect किया and then we we stored it. है ना, हमने उसे store किया. Onion को भी आप stored in the storage facilities. Now what happens is when you store, some of the onions are going to, they're going to be spoiled. Some of the onions are going to be spoiled, and some will be recovered, which will be completely fine, which we will actually be able to use. है ना? Ability of businesses to recover the costs of investment. Not You can say something like that. Ability of businesses to recover the cost of what they have invested. But basically, over here, when we are talking about cost recovery, we are saying that after storage. अब now what happens is when we store something, वहाँ पे भी हमारा पैसा लग रहा है, investment लग रही है, right? We are investing, we are utilizing money, we have money involved in storage facilities also. So when you procure, then also a lot of money is a lot of money is also given to procure onions, and you take it at a certain rate from the people when you procure it and then you store it. तो आपकी कुछ investment लगी, आपकी कोई cost लगी है, right? Now how many onions are left after subtracting the spoiled onions? Some onions are going to be spoiled, है ना, कुछ खराब हो जाएंगे, कुछ बच जाएंगे. तो जो स्पॉइल्ड अनियंस है उसको हमने निकाल दिया, तो वो हो गया हमारी कॉस्ट रिकवरी रेट. यानी कि अगर 100 kg के अनियंस हैं, out of that at least 72 onions should be at least 72 onions should be recovered. At least 72 onions should be absolutely fine and should not be spoiled. ये है इसका मतलब यहाँ पर. ठीक है? So Government of India has fixed 72% cost recovery rate for onion procurement for the 2025 season. Aim क्या है? To ensure better availability during crisis, ताकि wastage ना हो, lower procurement costs, discourage traders from exploiting the market. These are the reasons why this procurement rate has been set up. Pehle it was 65% in 2024, now it has been raised to 72%. This is the new cost recovery rate. Okay, that means out of every 100 kg of procured onions, 72 kg must remain marketable post storage. Okay, 72 kg must remain marketable. Matlab good procurement out of the total procurement. Exactly in simple terms. Yes, Chetan. Okay, this is part of Centre's buffer stock strategy via NAFED and NCCF. Procurement target is 500,000 tons. It aims to improve storage efficiency, reduce wastage, control price volatility. Okay, fine. So that is what this article is about. Okay, so I hope you've understood the meaning of this cost recovery rate. What is the meaning of the 72% cost recovery? क्या 100 kg onions है तो 72 kg onions, sorry, 72 kg इसमें से it should be absolutely fine, suitable for use basically. ठीक है, I hope this is clear. यहाँ पे बस ये चीज समझनी जरूरी थी कि what is the meaning of this 72% cost recovery rate. ठीक है, तो whenever you study an article, study the meaning of it. सिर्फ ये नहीं देखना कि हाँ 72% है, remember the percentage. You have to understand what it means also, right? Only then you will be holistically able to understand what is happening around. अच्छा, यहाँ पे there's another article, cheaper corporate loans may hinge on RBI's forward book. अब देखो, in your previous classes also I have explained what RBI does is कि अगर अभी उन्होंने लिक्विडिटी इकोनॉमी में बढ़ानी है, फॉर एग्जांपल आरबीआई वांट्स टू इंक्रीज लिक्विडिटी राइट नाउ, as of today wants to increase liquidity in the economy, what it is going to do is it is going to buy say dollars from market right now and inject rupees in the market for a predetermined time frame, है ना, कि for 6 months से कि after 6 months I will return that money, जब when we talk about the foreign exchange swaps, है ना, वैसा कुछ. So अभी क्या करेंगे, RBI will buy the dollars and अभी it will inject rupee in the market. ठीक है, थोड़े टाइम बाद 6 months के बाद it will have to return the dollars to the market and take up rupee. अब यहाँ पे क्या कह रहे हैं कि cheaper corporate loans में hinge on RBI's forward book. ये इस फॉरवर्ड बुक की बात कर रहे हैं कि अब टाइम आ रहा है, वो 6 मंथ्स बीत गए हैं, 6 मंथ्स 3 मंथ्स 4 मंथ्स जितना का भी आरबीआई ने लगाया था, दैट इज गोइंग टू बी ओवर नाउ एंड आरबीआई का जो फॉरवर्ड बुक है ना, वी आर गोइंग टू सी दैट फॉरवर्ड बुक. अब आरबीआई हैज टू रिटर्न दैट मनी. दिस इज व्हाट इज कॉल्ड फॉरवर्ड बुक एज ऑफ नाउ. ठीक है, सो नाउ व्हाट दे आर सेइंग इज दैट आरबीआई हैज ब्रॉट चेंजेस बाय रिड्यूसिंग द रेपो रेट. ठीक है, reducing the repo rate, it's now 5.5%. CRR has been reduced by 100 basis points, it's now 3%, right? So now what we are saying is that this move we are taking in order to inject liquidity in the economy. ठीक है, we want to inject liquidity in the economy, we want to increase the amount of rupee in the economy. On the other hand, RBI का टाइम आ रहा है for the forward book. अब कितना फॉरवर्ड बुक आरबीआई ने किया है, ठीक है, कितना फॉरवर्ड बुक आरबीआई ने किया है एंड इसका इफेक्ट इस पे क्या पड़ेगा ऑन द लिक्विडिटी, दैट रिलेशनशिप वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट. वी वांट टू इंजेक्ट लिक्विडिटी ऑन वन हैंड, क्या हम उतनी लिक्विडिटी को इंजेक्ट कर पाएंगे गिवन द फॉरवर्ड बुक ऑफ आरबीआई नाउ, गिवन कि आरबीआई अब हैज टू रिटर्न अ लॉट ऑफ हैज टू रिटर्न डॉलर्स इन द मार्केट. तो ऐसा ना हो जाए कि वी आर ट्राइंग टू इंक्रीज लिक्विडिटी इन द इकोनॉमी और उल्टा पड़ जाए. दैट डिपेंड्स ऑन हाउ मच इज द फॉरवर्ड बुक. दिस इज इन सिंपल टर्म्स व्हाट दिस आर्टिकल इज टॉकिंग अबाउट. ठीक है, तो रिसेंटली आरबीआई हैज रिड्यूस्ड रेपो रेट, सीआरआर हैज बीन कट. ठीक है, दैट मींस नाउ लोन्स आर गोइंग टू बी चीपर. अब लोगों के लिए जो लोन्स होंगे वो चीप होंगे. Experts suggest that actual impact will depend on this forward book, which involve dollar sales to stabilize the rupee and influence liquidity, है ना. That is what we are talking about over here. So forward book क्या है, RBI enters forward contracts in the currency market to manage the rupee dollar exchange rate. It buys dollars in advance and injects rupees into the banking system, just like I told you कि right now I'm going to buy dollars and inject rupees. एंड जब ये कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स मेच्योर हो जाएंगे, खत्म हो जाएंगे, देन आरबीआई हैज टू सेल डॉलर्स बैक एंड टेक बैक द रुपीज. दैट मीन्स इससे लिक्विडिटी कम होगी इकोनॉमी में, liquidity will reduce. एक तरफ we are trying to increase liquidity and दूसरी तरफ our liquidity will decrease if RBI gives that money back. ठीक है. So RBI has a large forward book of $37.8 billion which is going to mature in the next few months that we are saying. ठीक है. अब जैसे ही contracts mature होंगे, 2.3 to 3 trillion could be drained from the banking system. 2.3 to 3 trillion you can see over here. ठीक है. That may cancel out the benefit of CRR and repo rate cuts. ठीक है. Small loans and retail borrowers, they can benefit quickly, but corporate loans which are linked to marginal cost of fund based lending rate which moves with deposit rates, वहां पे affect करेगा. अच्छा, यहाँ पे I have a question. यहाँ पे लिखा है that corporate loans are linked to marginal cost of fund based lending rate, MCLR. लेकिन हमने तो पढ़ा था कि we have shifted to EBLR, external benchmark linked rate. Then what is this statement over here? Does anyone know about this statement? What are we trying to say over here? Any idea? यहाँ पे I'm saying that small loans जो MSMEs या फिर कोई लेते हैं loans, that they might benefit quickly, but the corporate loans which are linked to MCLR, they might not benefit. ठीक है. So here they are saying that if banks fear that liquidity will dry up, liquidity कम हो जाएगी, तो वो अपने deposit rates को change नहीं करेंगे. Corporate loans तो cheap होंगे नहीं, and then that means we are not going to see the impact of a repo rate and a CRR cut. ठीक है. So यहाँ पे what I'm saying is that corporate loans are linked to MCLR, and अभी in the previous classes we have seen that now the banks link their deposit rates with EBLR, एक्सटर्नल बेंचमार्क लिंक्ड रेट. जब हमने बात की थी कि अब वो रेपो रेट से जोड़ते हैं एक्सटर्नल बेंचमार्क लेंडिंग रेट, लिंक्ड रेट सॉरी, that now banks जो उनके रेट्स हैं, जो उनके रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट हैं, they are linked to external benchmark lending linked rate which is mostly the repo rate. We did this, right? Then why is it written over here that corporate loans which are linked to MCLR? Any idea, anyone? Any idea? See, in 2019 RBI के कुछ डायरेक्शंस आए थे, मास्टर डायरेक्शंस लाइक RBI रिलीजेस, and according to those directions only MSME and retail loans के लिए, only for MSME and retail loans, only for MSME and retail loans it has been compulsory that they have to link their rates with the external benchmark linked rate. Corporate loans में it is not yet mandatory. Corporate loans में it is not yet mandatory as of now, and that is why mostly corporate loans are still linked to MCLR. ठीक है. And in some cases it is even linked to base rate. तो base rate तो बहुत ज़्यादा कम, very rare as of now, but most of the corporate loans are linked to MCLR even now. ठीक है. MSME retail loans they have to mandatorily or compulsorily they have to be linked to EBLR, but directions के according corporate loans can still link their cost of funds, or they can still link their rate of interest with the marginal cost of funds based lending rate. Why this has been allowed is because corporate loans में volatility कम चाहते हैं, वॉलेटिलिटी कम चाहते हैं, एंड ईबीएलआर में थोड़ी वॉलेटिलिटी ज्यादा है. क्यों? बिकॉज इट इज लिंक्ड टू एन एक्सटर्नल बेंचमार्क रेट. तो रेपो रेट पे चेंजेस आए तो इट विल definitely impact the rate of interest. So to reduce such volatility, banks prefer कि वो corporate loans में MCLR से link करें. I hope this thing is clear. See, this statement was mentioned here, that is why I emphasized on this. यहाँ पे you need to be clear that ऐसे घुमा के you can get a question. MCLR corporate loans can still link their rates with the MCLR, but for retail and MSME loans it is compulsory कि हमें EBLR से link करना. Got it? हाँ, not previously issued bonds, Chetan, but I hope this thing is clear now. Right? That is why we are saying that abhi ke liye, because repo rate has been reduced, so that is why small loans and retail borrowers, they might benefit quickly, but the corporate loans might not benefit because they think about this ki if liquidity will dry up, then there's no point of lowering the deposit rates also. ठीक है, इसलिए जो ये corporate loans है, they won't become cheap, and the entire reason why we have reduced CRR repo rate in order to inject liquidity, in order to improve consumption and all, investment and all, वो नहीं हो पाएगा. ठीक है, आई होप यू हैव अंडरस्टूड. ठीक है, चलो. Now banks like HDFC, ICICI, they have already reduced the deposit rates. Current scenario क्या है? ठीक है, HDFC, ICICI banks, they have already reduced their deposit rates given these changes in repo rate and CRR. ठीक है. Experts are saying that there is still 2.4 trillion liquidity surplus as of now. ठीक है, and that is why there won't be a deposit crunch as of now, and they are not very concerned. RBI says that it is not very concerned because there is still 2.4 trillion liquidity surplus as of now. ठीक है? So what factor may significantly influence whether RBI's recent rate cuts lead to cheaper corporate loans or not? Increase in foreign exchange reserves, reduction in India's trade deficit, management of RBI's forward dollar contracts, direct lending by RBI to companies. What is the answer? I want all of you to answer. Give me quick answers. I see many of you attending the class. So, do, give your answers as well. Okay. Right. So, management of RBI's forward dollar contracts. ठीक है? चलो. Big corporates queue up for small nuclear reactors. ठीक है, यहाँ पे we are talking about small nuclear reactors. What are nuclear reactors? Who's going to tell me what are nuclear reactors? What are nuclear reactors? Nuclear fission based energy production. Exactly. See, nuclear reactors are used in order to produce nuclear energy. ठीक है, which is a non fossil fuel based energy, and we are focusing on increasing our nuclear energy. उसके लिए nuclear reactors are required. Small nuclear reactors which are small in size, basically. That is what they are saying over here. ठीक है, so यहाँ पे what is the article? That big corporates queue up for small nuclear reactors. They are hinging कि हाँ, they want small nuclear reactors. They want more and more of small nuclear reactors. Why? For this nuclear power project. ठीक है, for the nuclear power project that they want to increase and utilize nuclear power. ठीक है, so India is moving forward with plans to develop small nuclear reactors. India wants to develop these small nuclear reactors called Bharat Small Reactors or BSRs. BSRs क्या है? Bharat Small Reactors, which are going to attract major corporate players like Reliance, Adani, Vedanta, JSW, Hindalco, Greenco, and others. ठीक है, so they have responded, these companies have responded to a request of proposal by NPCIL to set up captive 220 megawatt pressurized heavy water reactors for industrial use. तो ये जो pressurized heavy water reactors है, these are utilized in order to produce nuclear energy. Small modular reactors or small reactors, nuclear reactors, they are also utilized in order to produce nuclear energy. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे उसकी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग की बात करें, that if we develop these small nuclear reactors, then we'll be able to produce more nuclear energy. Fine. The aim is to develop 22.48 gigawatt by 2030 and 100 gigawatt by 2047. ये तो हमें पता है that we want to increase the nuclear energy to 100 gigawatt by 2047 through small modular reactors in order to meet the industrial power needs. तो इंडस्ट्री में जो पावर नीड्स है, we want to increase the use of energy, and for that we need to produce more nuclear energy. So by 2030 we want 22.48 gigawatt, and by 2047 100 gigawatt of nuclear energy we should be able to produce. This is our target. तो आपको ये target याद रखने हैं, ठीक है? What are Bharat small reactors? Why are we talking about small reactors here? Bharat small reactors, though they are costlier to set up, but they are highly reliable. They have low carbon, low operational cost. ठीक है, and they are very ideal for sectors like data centers, crypto mining, large industrial units जहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा energy use होगी, वहाँ के लिए this is very favorable. Fine. NPCIL, Nuclear Power Corporation of India, will oversee the design and construction. ठीक है. The setup cost is around 16 to 20 crore per megawatt, which is higher than wind, solar, and hydro. Operational cost will be, but the operational cost will be just 60 paise per kilowatt per hour by 2030-31. So basically, you will just have some initial cost. There will only be some initial cost. बाद में maintenance cost is not very high. ठीक है, and this will help us achieving the net zero target and provide stable energy for industries that can't rely solely on the renewables. Fine. So what is the key advantage of Bharat small reactors that attract corporates' interest? Lowest setup cost among all energy sources. They are entirely government funded. High reliability and low operational cost for captive industrial use. Ability to store renewable energy. What is the answer? Quickly give me the answer, all of you. Right, high reliability and low operational cost for captive industrial use. ठीक है? Next, US turns down India's WTO challenge on auto duties. See, US is levying tariffs unnecessarily, and we raised an objection at WTO that there is a need for WTO scrutiny in this case. There is a need for WTO to overlook this unrealistic tariffs that US is putting up. So now what is the article? US has rejected India's second challenge at WTO regarding the 25% tariff on auto components. Claiming that the duties are based on national security grounds, not subject to WTO rules on safeguards. So India said that WTO needs to scrutinize, but US is saying, nahi bhai, it is because of national security concerns, it's not related to WTO. So because of national security, we have put in certain tariffs. Okay, India is saying that, these duties or, de facto, were de facto safeguard measures. That means they are false safeguard measures, which is harming the auto exports. It is harming the auto exports, and because of that, we need WTO scrutiny. But US has said that it's for national security. And WTO, what is WTO saying? The WTO's Committee on Safeguards did not take up consultations as the US insisted its tariffs don't fall under safeguard rules. We already know that these organizations, they always are going to favor the developed countries, है ना? That is what is the criticism of also international organizations. So यहाँ पे WTO said कि it won't take up any action. Why? Because US has said that it is because of national security and it does not fall under the safeguard rules of WTO. ठीक है? And then India had also raised concern about steel and aluminium tariffs also. That was also rejected. Fine. Then India's auto, if we talk about the impact on India, then India's auto component exports face barriers in the US market, with total Indian car exports to the US at only $89 million as compared to 6.98 billion total billion dollars total car exports. So you can see this drastic reduction. Okay. On USA's challenge at WTO, India very politely introduced ROTTEP, replacing the MEIS. USA being USA, exactly. So there was this merchandise export from India scheme. Okay, this was challenged by USA that this scheme which India has for incentivizing exports. This is against the WTO rules. Okay, so therefore we replaced in our new foreign trade policy of 2023, we replaced this with the rod tip scheme. Rather than providing subsidies on exports, we went towards remission of duties. Remission of duties मतलब कि जो भी वो tariffs पे करे, we are going to refund that tax back, provided certain conditions. ठीक है? So that is what we are talking about over here. That is what Chetan is saying कि MEIs, when India had been challenged by USA, तब we brought in changes very politely कि हाँ ठीक है, we did not reject it, or we did not give excuses. We just replaced it with another scheme. Okay, you're right. But USA is trying to, reject the claims and all. Fine. So why did US reject India's WTO challenge on its 25% tariff on auto components? Because the WTO already ruled in India's favor? Because tariffs were revoked before the challenge? Because US cited national security safeguards exempting the tariffs from WTO rules? Because India did not submit sufficient evidence. What is the answer? Yes, C is absolutely the correct answer because the US cited national security grounds exempting the tariffs from WTO rules. ठीक है? Next, कैबिनेट अप्रूव्स मल्टी ट्रैक रेल प्रोजेक्ट्स. तो यहाँ पे मल्टी ट्रैक रेल प्रोजेक्ट्स की बात हो रही है, worth 6405 crores in order to improve connectivity, mobility, job creation across three states: Jharkhand, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh. You have to remember, directly MCQ can be asked which of the following the multi-track railway projects have been introduced in which of the following states. So it's Jharkhand, कर्नाटका एंड आंध्र प्रदेश. रिमेंबर इट. ठीक है? एम क्या है? टू इम्प्रूव रेल एफिशिएंसी, रिलायबिलिटी, जनरेट जॉब्स इन 3 states, लोअर CO2 emissions, enhance movement of coal, steel, cement, fertilizers, petroleum, handle 49 million tons of additional freight annually. Total coverage is 318 kilometer. This coverage spans 7 districts. This will boost freight traffic, cut logistic costs. It will, support India's clean, efficient, reliable rail infrastructure goals. So, which 3 states will benefit from the recently approved 6405 crore multi-tracking rail projects? Maharashtra, Gujarat, Odisha, Bihar, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, West Bengal, or Jharkhand, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh. What is the answer? चेतन, ई तो ऑप्शन ही नहीं है. ई इज नॉट एन ऑप्शन. है ना? तो डी इज द करेक्ट आंसर. झारखंड, कर्नाटका एंड आंध्र प्रदेश. ठीक है? राइट. Now, a new farming plan is in the works prioritizing nutrients over fertilizers. Again, very important article. Very important article, especially for students who are preparing for NABARD. ठीक है? अब यहाँ पे the Indian government is working on a new farming plan which will cap the distribution of subsidized fertilizers and instead link nutrient allocation to crop requirements and regional sowing patterns. अब इसमें क्या कह रहे हैं कि rather than फर्टिलाइजर्स पे सब्सिडीज बढ़ाना, फर्टिलाइजर्स पे सब्सिडीज बढ़ाने के बजाय व्हाट वी आर गोइंग टू डू इज एरिया स्पेसिफिक, रीजन स्पेसिफिक, वी आर गोइंग टू लिंक न्यूट्रिएंट, वी आर गोइंग टू एलोकेट न्यूट्रिएंट्स एरिया वाइज ताकि वेस्टेज ना हो. नाउ व्हाट हैपेंस इज दैट सबसे ज्यादा जो सब्सिडी है दैट इज ऑन यूरिया. द मैक्सिमम सब्सिडी ऑन दिस यूरिया फर्टिलाइजर पे है सबसे ज्यादा. So what were the farmers doing? इसी को खरीदते थे and इसी को they used to flood the entire field with urea fertilizer only, which was actually harming the field. That is why we have brought in this move that rather than providing more and more subsidies on fertilizers, what we are going to do is we are going to link nutrient allocation to crop requirements. कि जैसे जैसे crop की requirement होगी वैसे वैसे उतना उतना हम we are going to give those amount of nutrients. So इसमें हम direct benefit transfer करेंगे, directly money will be transferred in this case. ठीक है? तो हम region based approach की बात करें in order to boost crop quality to reduce soil degradation. ठीक है? So fertilizer subsidies को हम cap कर देंगे, जितनी है उतनी रहने देंगे. We are going to link the allocation with soil health and crop needs. ठीक है? The point of sale units in villages will guide nutrient distribution. Government fertilizer subsidy, if you see the burden, 2.54 trillion rupees, 1.88 trillion rupees, 1.77 trillion rupees is for 23, 24, 25. And now we have capped, we have pegged it to 1.68 trillion rupees in financial year 26. इतना हमने cap कर दिया. इसके अलावा what we are going to do is we are going to give direct subsidy amount to the farmers accounts. कि हम direct benefit transfer कर देंगे, DBT कर देंगे, rather than giving them fertilizer पे subsidy. ठीक है, we are going to give them the money so that they can use whatever nutrients are required as per the requirements of their field. ठीक है, this is going to curb overuse of urea. It is going to improve soil health. It is going to reduce fiscal burden. It is going to enhance export competitiveness. ठीक है? So what major shift is proposed under the Indian government's new farming plan? Increase in MSP, ban on all chemical fertilizers, link fertilizer allocation to soil and crop needs instead of blanket subsidies, free electricity for irrigation in all states. What is the answer? I want quick answers, all of you. Right. Link fertilizer allocation to soil and crop needs instead of blanket subsidies. ठीक है? Again, very important article. RBI to use CRR as active liquidity tool. See, usually what was happening till now is that CRR को ज़्यादा we were not using CRR very much in order to increase or decrease liquidity. But now in this recent decision, we have seen that CRR has been cut by 100 basis points, which is at 3% now. So after this move, now we are seeing that now mostly we are going to use CRR also as a liquidity tool. This is what the article is saying. So RBI has decided to actively use the CRR as a regular tool to manage liquidity in the banking system. ठीक है, तो पहले it was only used during emergencies. Initially, it was only used during emergencies, and now we are seeing that rather than using it just during emergencies, we're going to actively use it to control liquidity. ठीक है? And if you see the recent CRR cut, it will release $2.5 trillion into the system. Okay? And this is a shift from over reliance on open market operations and foreign exchange swaps. So initially we were focusing mostly on OMOs and foreign exchange swaps. Now we are also going to focus on CRR also. Okay, 4 to 3% we are going to cut in 4 tranches. It is going to inject 2.5 trillion rupees. We are now going to use this actively. Okay, this will help us align the overnight call rate with repo rate also. Okay, and RBI may also conduct variable rate reverse repo auctions as well. So how much liquidity is expected to be released into the banking system due to RBI's 100 basis point CRR cut? 1.5 trillion, 3 trillion, 2.5 trillion, 4.5 trillion. What is the answer? Right, 2.5 trillion. ठीक है, चलो. Again, we have a very important article here. New UPI IDs for market payments. So from October 1st, 2025, all stock market intermediaries, who are stock market intermediaries like brokers, mutual funds, portfolio managers, they have to use exclusive and verified UPI IDs for collecting payments from investors. So if they want to collect money from investors, it has to be a verified UPI ID. Now these UPI handles, they will be issued via validated bank handles. ठीक है, these UPI handles will be issued, and वहां पे उस UPI handle में there's going to be a green triangle and a thumbs up icon, so that we can have we can confirm that they are authentic, and so that if we are investors and we are paying the money to these brokers or mutual funds or portfolio managers through these UPI handles, through these UPI handles wherein there is a green triangle and a thumbs up icon, we will be able to identify whether they are authentic or not. So this initiative is introduced by SEBI. This aims to reduce any kind of payment fraud, standardize the payment collection across all these intermediaries. Okay, so we need to make it more transparent, and that is why we have brought in this change. ठीक है, so this will be applicable to around 8,000 intermediaries which are registered with SEBI. ठीक है, वेरीफाइड यूपीआई आईडीज दे विल बी इशूड बाय वैलिडेटेड बैंक हैंडल्स जैसे वैलिड एचडीएफसी. इस तरह से वी आर गोइंग टू ब्रिंग इन यूपीआई आईडीज. ग्रीन ट्रायंगल होगा, थम्स अप होगा, and there's going to be a SEBI check feature also that will also be launched so that it can help investors verify the UPI details. So we need to basically stop fraud, and that is why we brought this change. ठीक है, and जो old UPI IDs हैं they will be discontinued after December 8. ठीक है, this is a very good move in order to ensure transparency. So what is the purpose of SEBI's new rule mandating verified UPI IDs for intermediaries from October 2025? To replace all NEFT and IMPS system payments, to reduce payment frauds and ensure verified transactions, to increase service charges on digital payments, to promote cryptocurrency trading in stock markets. Right, to reduce payment frauds and ensure verified transactions. ठीक है? Now, again, very, very important question. Let me see whether you have read the newspaper or not. According to the World Bank's June 2025 report, what is India's projected economic growth rate for financial year 26? So there is this World Bank's Global Economic Prospects report. Global Economic Prospects report, which is published twice a year, January and June. So June ki report has been released. So according to this June 2025 report, what is India's projected economic growth rate for financial year 26? 7.1%, 6.15%, 5.8%, 6.3%. What is the answer? Absolutely correct, 6.3%. D is absolutely the correct answer. 6.3%. ठीक है, so यहाँ पे है, this is the article, World Bank trims global growth view keeps India's. ठीक है, so यहाँ पे we are saying that the World Bank in its global economic prospects June 2025 report, it has revised the global growth forecast downward to 2.3%. So global forecast has been reduced to 2.3%, but India ka it has retained the 6.3% forecast. Why? Because of confidence in country's strong economic fundamentals. हाँ, yes चेतन, फिर 6.5, फिर 6.7 for the subsequent years. ठीक है, so global GDP projection for 2025 reduced to 2.3%, which is down by 0.4%. So for 2025, 2.3%, 2026, 2.4%, 2027, 2.6%. ठीक है, India's growth forecast remains unchanged. We've seen the reasons. IMF also revised India's financial year 26 forecast to 6.2% from 6.5% because of tariff related risks. ठीक है, so this was the article that we are talking about. Good morning, comedy circle. Chalo. Center to roll out 5.4 K crore battery storage incentive. Again, in your yesterday's class also we talked about battery storage systems, है ना? Battery storage systems. We talked about battery energy storage systems also, है ना? So what we are saying is that we are launching an additional viability gap funding scheme worth 5,400 crore in order to set up 30 gigawatt of battery energy storage system. ठीक है, this is part of India's strategy to ensure power stability. ठीक है, to ensure power stability to meet net zero emissions by 2070. That is why we are bringing this incentive to promote renewable energy storage infrastructure. ठीक है, so there is already an existing 3700 VGF viability gap funding supporting 13.2 gigawatt per hour, which is under implementation, and now we have introduced this 5,400 crore VGF incentive as well for 30 gigawatt of BESS capacity. ठीक है, this initiative will attract 33,000 crore in investment, and India's target is what, 500 gigawatt of non-fossil fuel capacity by 2030. So this is a move towards that. ठीक है, And this energy storage sector is likely to attract 4.79 trillion rupees investment in by 2032. The first tender under this new scheme, it will be launched in the next 3 months. Okay, and government will also standardize the air conditioner temperatures between 20 to 28 degrees Celsius. So what is the primary goal of 5400 crore battery storage incentive announced by the center? To promote electric vehicle adoption in urban areas, to subsidize the production of lithium-ion batteries, to set up 30 gigawatt of battery energy storage systems for renewable energy support, to reduce air pollution in industrial zones. What is the correct answer? Right. To set up 30 gigawatt of battery energy storage systems for renewable energy support. Absolutely correct. ठीक है? Again, let me see whether you have read the newspaper or not. This was another headline here. What is the target set by the Indian government for defense exports by the year 2029? What is the target that we want to reach? 1 trillion, 2 trillion, 3 trillion, or 5 trillion rupees? What is the answer? What is the target set up by the Indian government for defense exports by the year 2029? Such kind of questions will directly be asked, can directly be asked in the exam. Okay? That is why I have brought it over here. Let me see whether you have read the newspaper or not. Give me the answer. Bhakti Singh 3 trillion, Atithi 3, Chetari Singh D, maybe 5 trillion. Anyone else? The correct answer is 3 trillion. So you can see here government targets 3 trillion defense exports by 2029. Okay, so Minister of State for Defense Sanjay Seth on Tuesday said that the central government has set a target of 3 trillion for defense sector exports by 2029. Okay, he said that the world viewed India as an importer earlier. But due to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's dynamic leadership, country became a leading exporter, sending defense material to at least 92 other countries, and that is why now our target is 3 trillion by uh, uh, 3 trillion by 2029. Okay? Chalo. Another question that I have for you. Let me see, whether you have read this article or not. According to UNFPA's 2025 State of World Population Report, what is India's estimated population in 2025? 1.26 billion, 1.36 billion, 1.46, 1.56 billion. What is the answer? Chetan is saying 1.46 billion. What about others? What do you think? What is the estimated population of India in 2025? Absolutely correct. 1.46 billion. Okay, so population at 1.46 billion. This is according to the UN report. You can see. Okay. India's population is estimated to hit 1.46 billion in 2025. Uh, billion. अच्छा, you wrote trillion, 1.46 trillion. Sorry, billion. ठीक है. Continuing to be the highest in the world as per a new UN demographic report, which also revealed that the country's fertility rate fell below the replacement rate. Okay? Next, let me see if you remember this or not. Who is the Indian astronaut set to go on a NASA ISRO supported commercial space flight to the International Space Station? Rakesh Sharma, Ajit Krishnan, Shubhanshu Shukla, or Prasant Nair? You should know this. This was in news many times. Very good, Shubhanshu Shukla. Exactly. Okay? So you can see here Indian astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla on cusp of history. Okay? So this is what this article is about. हाँ बस जा ही नहीं पा रहे है ना चलो next liquid gold imports soar as savvy buyers spy loophole तो अब now we have seen that यार gold के जो imports हैं they have increased a lot in our country. Gold imports have increased a lot in our country. Despite heavy duty, heavy duties, heavy tariffs on these on gold imports, still we are seeing that gold imports have risen in the country, and that's because जो लोग import कर रहे हैं gold, they have identified a loophole. What is that loophole that we need to understand here? तो यहाँ पे एक लीगल लूपहोल मिला है टू ब्रिंग इन लिक्विड गोल्ड कंपाउंड्स व्हिच आर टैक्स फ्री. सो लिक्विड गोल्ड्स आर टैक्स फ्री, बट फिजिकल गोल्ड पे वी हैव ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ टैरिफ्स. ठीक है, तो इफ यू ब्रिंग इन लिक्विड गोल्ड कंपाउंड्स and classify them as industrial chemicals, and if you classify them as industrial chemicals, that is tax free. ठीक है, and what happens is they import the liquid gold compounds, ठीक है, and what they do is then they convert into solid gold domestically. Once it has reached India, then they convert it into solid gold. This has led to a surge in imports of liquid gold compounds, bypassing the traditional high import duties on physical gold. So on physical gold there are high import duties, but on liquid gold, which is classified as industrial chemicals, on that it is tax free. So what they were doing is they were importing it, बोल के कि this is for industrial chemical and this is liquid gold, and बाद में domestically they were converting it into the physical gold. हाँ, बढ़िया strategy लगाई, exactly है ना. Because of which gold के imports बढ़ गए हैं without bypassing this import duty, high import duty. ठीक है, so 1,27,886 kg of gold compounds were imported in this financial year 24-25. Imports rose 9.25 times over a year and 2.84 times quarter on quarter. Countries like UAE, Japan, Australia, they benefit from trade treaties that reduce or eliminate gold duty. Liquid gold compounds are imported duty free. बाद में they are refined domestically. ठीक है, and this import route is cheaper than importing gold bullion directly. That is why what people were doing is they were bringing in liquid gold. Gold bullion, if you talk about the physical gold imports, that fell 51.2% क्योंकि उन्होंने they don't लिया loophole, physical gold करते ही नहीं import, liquid कर दिया उसे यहाँ पे आके made it into solid. ठीक है, and this is because they want to evade taxes and they have found this regulatory loophole. ठीक है, so why have gold compound imports surged recently in India? Due to increased jewelry demand during the wedding season, because they are imported tax free under industrial chemical classification, because of a government gold subsidy for refineries, due to declining international gold prices. So what is the answer? Let's say if you get a question, so you will not be able to answer it until and unless you have read the article and understood the article. That is why reading the articles and understanding them holistically is very important. ठीक है? Yes, B is absolutely the correct answer because they are imported tax free under industrial chemical classification. ठीक है? So that is all from my side. These are the articles that I wanted to discuss with you. अब हमारा जो backlog है वो खत्म हो गया है. I did not take a class on Wednesday, but I have completed the articles. I have brought in the most important articles. It's not that I did not read the newspaper. I read the newspaper. I have made the PPT also and I have presented it also. ठीक है? तो now we are on track and let's meet on Monday at 8 a.m. with the next articles. I hope things are clear. ठीक है, apart if you want to connect with me apart from these sessions, then this is my Telegram handle. You can join this group here. I keep sending some important stuff there as well, MCQs and all also. Mannat Educator, so you can join the group here. ठीक है, if there is any doubt, you can ask me in the comment section. Otherwise, we are going to end the session over here. I'll just wait for a minute. ठीक है? Thank you so much, Chetan. I will keep bringing such sessions for all of you. Okay, Bhakti, Atithi. Thank you so much to you guys also for always being consistent, for always attending the sessions. I hope the session was fruitful for you and I hope you've learned something new in the class. Okay? That is all. Thank you so much. See you all in my next class. Let's meet on Monday, 8 a.m. Okay? Achha, today we have a class at 4 p.m. also. I'll be taking up a session at 4 p.m. World Bank has revised the poverty line, so we are going to see the details of the revision. ठीक है, तो आज शाम को 4 o'clock we are going to meet up. Fine. Okay then. Thank you so much. See you all and bye bye.